Hi, I'm Angel. Welcome to the channel. Some days ago, I got this book, 7 Interpretative Speeches on 20th Century Peru, written by Manuel Fernández, a Peruvian linguist, and Rohner, who holds a PhD in Spanish. This book was published by Planeta Peru in July and is part of a collection by Centennial commemorating the 200 years of our independence proclaimed in 1821. As they state in the introduction, nations are made of words from which the core of our collective memory is made. That's page 17. Also, there's some emphasis on clarifying when modern Peru appeared, whether in 1821 or after our country being shamefully defeated by the Chilean army. That's on page 20. The title, of course, paraphrases the title of one of the most important books ever written in Peru, 7 Interpretative Essays on Peruvian Reality by José Carlos Mariátegui. Even this cover, so colorful, striking, and which screams Peru, as well as the font, have been definitely inspired by the cover of the 7 essays. I hope I don't sound shallow when saying this cover was a good reason so as to buy the book. Each speech is preceded by a sort of presentation and followed by some analysis or criticism. The speeches are: Number 1. Speech at the Politeama Theater by Manuel González Prada, a furious attack on the upper class and defending the need to integrate the indigenous people into citizenship. There is the famous phrase, the old to the grave, the young to work. Number 2. The speech on the occasion of the establishment of the Day of the Indian by President Augusto Leguía. The authors wonder how sincere was that defense of the Indian, who was denied citizenship but was considered a means of labor, a source of wealth. Number 3. The promulgation of the feminine vote law by President Manuel Odría. Only 4 paragraphs, really short. The analysis includes deplorable phrases said then and now, which show how much still needs to be done. It's also rather paradoxical that this advance in civil rights was promoted by a dictator. Number 4. The promulgation of the Agrarian Reform Law by President Juan Velasco. The army, led by him, ends that unfair system within which the rich, so few, monopolize most of the land. There are such memorable phrases as land for those who work it, or peasant, the master will no longer feed off your poverty. This is probably the most controversial section not only in the book, but also throughout 20th century Peru, and one which keeps on reopening old wounds after 51 years. Number 5. Government support rally at the Lima Main Square by President Alan Garcia on the nationalization of the banking. According to him, land feudalism turned into banking feudalism, and banks are to blame for being a means of control. Arguably the most eloquent speech on this set. Eloquence was Mr. Garcia's specialty indeed. Number 6. Message to the Nation by President Alberto Fujimori. He shut down the Congress, among other reasons, due to its lack of austerity, efficacy, and honesty. Releasing terrorists and drug traffickers, he went on to accuse the judicial power of being corrupt. Hear the famous phrase, dissolve, dissolve. Number 7. Opening speech of the 2006 academic year at the University of the Pacific by not a president this time, but a chef, Gaston Acurio, on the important role gastronomy plays in the development of our country, the importance of not only transforming resources, but creating brands that are easy to identify abroad. He even urged those privileged students to stay in Peru, since wealth and opportunities are here. The authors question the idea that everything depends on individuals and not on the state. The epilogue picks up various ideas, such as the urgency for humanities and social science schools in our country to stop isolating themselves. They also notice that political speeches in main squares have disappeared, even though they later state on page 159 that the genre died, but the speech did not. They also resent the fact no women appear as authors of any of these speeches. As well as the reflections, opinions, and analysis in this book, I cannot help thanking Mr. Fernández and Mr. Rohner for this book, because sometimes we conform with just repeating one line of a speech, as I did minutes ago, but what about the speeches themselves? In my case, I have read these 7 ones for the first time at the age of 34, and nothing compares to reading the primary source, since the rest can be debated or discussed anyway. Reading the primary sources is the first step to attempt, as the authors say on page 20, to understanding our history from the words of its protagonists. So, just some months before our bicentennial, I do consider this book as an essential one for those who care for history, which is not only past but the study of mankind through time. Bye bye.